Alright. Theoretically, I should be streaming, so I'm just gonna sing until I know I'm going. Checking out the website. I hope my face doesn't look all sunburnt, cause it's freaking me out, cause my face is so red, and I took a hike a little bit ago. There we are. Alright, coming in right on the sunburn part of that statement. How are you all? Hello, Ring World. Hello, Rushor64, Professor Frank, Galvion, Avery, Carowin, Christina, Miss Avarice Bliss. How is everyone doing this evening? I mean, come on, some random. It's, that's how I start every stream. I gotta do the freestyle singing until I get going. Oh, good. Andorian Brandy, good. Milkshake spiked. Hot. Hot. You want a hot milkshake? Is that how you do your milkshake, Stuart C? Yep, we are going to be making, as you can kind of see behind me, we're going to be making some alcoholic milkshakes, or one. Well, we're going to make one, unless you make them along with me. And yeah, I got a terrible sunburn. I was applying to some jobs most of it today, and then I decided to take a little bit of a hike for a bit, and I got really badly burned, as you can see. And I took a shower, so my hair is kind of wet still. So apologies that I look not my best this evening. I look kind of disheveled, but that fits with the milkshake theme of tonight. I'm glad to hear that work is at least light for you tonight, some random. So that at least that's a good day for words. I'm not even drunk yet. Good day for you. Going to fall asleep to your stream is 3 a.m. here. I'm sorry. I know that it's late in some places of the world for everybody to do this. Yeah, use sunscreen. Unfortunately, I decided not to because I didn't think the hike was going to be as long as it ended up being. So, yes, thank you that I have a lovely red glow. Yeah, so yeah, I got a little bit of that sunburn going. It's going to make for a fun probably tomorrow. So, apologies that I look all nice and tan. But at least I got outside, which was good. So, okay. So, I'm just going to wait a second, and then we're going to start making some milkshakes. Oh, well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Dysphoria is always like, I don't have makeup on, and I'm in front of people. What am I doing? I'm making terrible life choices. So thank you for at least alleviating some of my insanity. Some random geek. I got it. Okay. Gotcha. I've always just said some random because I didn't know how to do geek 3. Jithreek. Some random Jithreek. But I will make sure to say some random geek. So, sorry. I hope me mispronouncing your username wasn't offensive. I was just having some fun with it. How's everyone else doing this evening? Anything fun? I was just watching, right before the stream, after I got back from the hike and was trying to dry off, I was watching, some Star Trek Enterprise, as I am wont to do. So, milkshakes, yeah. What was it from Steve Shive's stream the other night, or from, his Steve and Stuffy episode, is Splash the Fash? I'm all about splashing the fash, just to go throw some freaking water balloons at protesters. It's absolutely wonderful. I want to use that hashtag so much. Sadly, no trees for me to climb here in New Mexico, so Steve would be deeply upset. I heard the Love Guru sucked and attempting to get through it. It's a slog. Yeah, it's gonna... Yeah, I never watched it, but I saw bits and pieces of it, and it was always like, I'm not entirely sure I like that one. Hey, cool. I'm glad the governor of New Mexico is sending out masks. That's a good sign of things. There was a LA when I was living in LA, the person who was in charge of my constituency or part of LA, it was giving out masks as well. And actually, it was the mask that I still have from him. It even has he's like trying to promote his next campaign, obviously. But it's the most comfortable mask. It was like that I've used. All my other masks are super uncomfortable. This one was super comfortable. So you know what? He's got my vote. Because that's how I make my voting decisions, whether they give me a comfortable mask. Okay, well, before my ice cream gets before we get too far into this, and before my ice cream melts, it is time to do the fun part and make some milkshakes. All right, so I'm gonna quick get this out of the way. And Actually, I should go grab my milkshake stuff. So give me a second. You're gonna hear me for a second. Yeah, I know. Apparently I live in LA normally, but apparently Los Angeles isn't gonna open up till August, which is, I get it's the right thing to do, but it's still like so long. So all right, one sec. All right, I don't know if you can still hear me. I'm gonna keep talking so you know the stream's not down. All right, here we go. Okay. All right, I am back. I am here. Here's the stuff. So I'm gonna try and kneel down a little bit so everyone can kind of see me. Let's see, where's a good way to do this? Boom. There we go. So, got my Halo Top ice cream because I like my calorie counting. Oh, my shoulders look huge at this angle. Ugh. Awful. And I got some whipped cream. So, need that. Hey, Thomas Wilson, how are you? Can everyone hear me fine? I know the microphone's kind of far away from where I'm at. So, hey, Trekkie69. Hope you're doing well. I know you're watching my live stream on your live stream, so it's like live streamception. Also, my hair. Ugh. Sorry. All the dysphoria. My hair is messed up. I'm all sunburned. Ugh. I'm like, ugh, I look gross in this stream. Apologies. That's my own brain stuff. All right. Let's do this. So, first things first, you gotta have the blender. You gotta, I'm trying to do this so you can actually, where can I sit? Okay, this actually works. I didn't really plan this out too well ahead of time. I know I've had a few days. Well, well, thank you, Robert. All right, let's see. What do I put in first? I usually put in the ice cream, and I just realized, where's my spoon that I had? I had a spoon, and now I have lost it. I did not prepare at all for this. 1 second. Hopefully I can find a spoon here. Well, I do not know where the spoon I had went. So we're gonna have to try and do this without a spoon. So this is gonna be even more fun for me. All right, well, oh, okay, good. The ice cream kind of melted enough that this will work. All right, so put your whole pint of ice cream down in here. So I'm gonna put this up here. Now, there's gonna be a few choices for you all in the live stream here to make for me. Make sure this is on here. Yes, I believe so. Yes, okay. Cool. Cool. All right, so first choice that the live stream gets to make here is which type of Irish cream that I use. Hi, Jane, how are you? So I have red velvet Baileys, and I have the sort of regular Irish cream. So that's what I'm going to use for our milk base. So the question really becomes, red velvet tastes better. This tastes like Garden of the Gods. Like, it's absolutely delicious on its own. But the taste might not mix well with what I got going on here. But I think it will. I think it will, but there is a risk. This, pretty standard. Like, this will 100% work. So that'll, like, definitely work. So do we take a risk, or do we go with the good old standby? I'm seeing one vote for red velvet from Robert. What else we got? Red velvet. All right, if we get one or two more for red velvet, I'll probably go with that. All right. All right. Looks like, we're getting some contention here. All right, I think most people are saying red velvet, so let's go for it. All right, so red velvet in here. So I'm going to take a little bit of it because it's wonderful. I'm going to drink right out of the bottle because no one else is drinking out of this, so. It's really good. If you haven't had red velvet Irish cream, even though it's apparently it's limited edition, I recommend it. It's so good. Okay. Let's put that in there. Make sure you can see me. I'm going to tilt this a little bit more. There we go. Okay. Cool. There's still some in there, don't worry. We'll have some of that maybe towards the end of the stream. All right, I think that should be enough. All right, if I need to make it a little less thick, I can add some of the regular. Okay, so now we're gonna add some rum into this. Normally I would use vodka, but I thought I'm staying at my parents' place at the moment just because visiting. I thought they would have some regular vodka, but they don't have any vodka, so I'm gonna go with some rum, which not the best choice in the world. Also, I'd normally put it into a shot glass to measure it out, but we're gonna have to eyeball it. So put in a tiny little bit of. Ooh, that was a lot. That was a lot more than I intended. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. It's a little bit too much. Oh well. Hey Pedro, how are you? All right. Let's see. All right, and then you add an Oreo cookie because why not? Boom. Huzzah! Little top of that for you, and then you can either do this. You can do this one of the two ways. You can either put some in the glass, some why am I blanking on what this is called? Chocolate syrup in the glass, or you put it in the mixer. I'm gonna do a little bit of both. Try and split the difference. Just a tiny little bit in that, and then just a tiny little bit in here. Just swirl it in the cup. All right. Yeah, eyeballing alcohol is the only way to do it. All right, now normally I would have like a spoon or something to kind of push down this ice cream because this pint is probably a bit frozen. So it might take a little bit for this to actually go down, to like actually mix, but we'll see how it goes. Normally I push it down a little bit with a spoon and I don't want to stick my finger in there. Okay, so get that all up on there. Now this may get a little bit loud, so I'm actually going to turn down my mic a tad. I'm glad you're doing positive, so that is really good. I'm glad, Pedro. I'm going to turn the mic down just a little bit so I don't blow out everyone's ears, but it might make it hard to hear me, but that'll make it, this way you'll not blow out your ears. All right, let's do this thing. I normally have a spoon for this, but I don't know where I put my spoon. So, and hey, Christy, it's good to see you. I had a premiere at 9 that I failed to premiere, so I just posted instead. Came to watch you work for cheering. Oh, thank you I appreciate you liking the jeans. Come on. I gotta find something to push this ice cream down with because sometimes it won't go on the blades as much. I don't want to like splash it all in my face. Give me just a aha! You know what? I just found my spoon. I put it in a cup off to the side. I forgot that I put it down there. So I have my spoon. Trusty spoon, as the doctor would say. You know, I was going to save the bring the boys to the yard joke until I sat down, but I'm glad someone else made it for me in the live stream. Alright, so hopefully this is not going to splash all in my face. Let's see how this goes. Make sure this goes in. Actually, I should probably put the Oreo down. Come on, buddy. This is making for exciting stuff, I bet, isn't it? You're all just waiting for it to explode in my face, which has happened to me before. Okay, put that on real quick. There we go. Now the fun's beginning. Now it's basically, I don't know if you can hear me too much. Alright, cool. Now I'm going to push some of this Oreo cookie down. We're getting there. The ice cream's kind of getting up. Sorry, yeah, I guess you can't hear me as much because I turned on the volume too loud. So, alright, pushing it all in. Okay. Alright. Let's see how this goes. There it is. Fun stuff. Going well. Aha! And I think we're good to go. So, yep, that looks pretty good. The liquor is rum and Irish cream. Red velvet Irish cream. Okay. Now, so I'm giving you like instructions. It's not like it's hard. Just have a blender and alcohol and ice cream. But this is my cooking show. I'm going to make it the way I want to. Smoothie days at my preschool alone in the kitchen. We made Goofy dance song. Oh, that's wonderful. All right, so let's pour this in. I wish we had smoothie days at school. That would have been fun. All right. Look at that. Okay. Nice and perfect. All right. So let me grab my chair real quick, and I'll come back and sit down and drink this concoction. All right. Grabbing the chair. Here we go. Okay. All right, and then I'm gonna put on my headphones again. All right. There we go. I'm gonna take this. It's gone now. Bring this back here. Okay. Yo ho ho and a bottle of milkshake rum, as the pirates say. All right, sorry if I missed some things. I'm gonna drink the whole shake, Robert. Don't you worry. And then we just finish it off with the best part. I'm gonna have... I wish I had sprinkles. Sadly, I don't have sprinkles. But there we go. Cheers to the alcoholic milkshake. Let's see how it all comes out. Ooh, that is good. Definitely really strong on the alcohol. Can definitely taste that rum, but it's good. Isn't it great? Let me eat on camera. That's gonna go... People are just gonna love that. This is great stuff. Cheers, everybody. Keep getting milkshake on. Oh, that is good. I can definitely tell. If I finish this by the end of the live stream, which I probably will, I'll probably finish it before the end of the live stream. I'm gonna be drunk, so apologies if my my thoughts get crazy. Pedro, I noticed you earlier, but I wanted to say, hey, sorry, you probably didn't hear me because of the volume of the mic, so. I'll share sprinkles. What kind would you like? Oh, I love rainbow sprinkles. Those are my favorite. I adore, do the actual colors, like, is there a difference between chocolate sprinkles and rainbow sprinkles? Do they taste any different, or are they the same? British tar, da, da, da. I don't know the whole words, but I just know the kind of tune from Star Trek Insurrection. I know it's from the same musical as I Am the Very Model of a Modern Major General. So that play gets a lot of play in Star Trek. This is great. The red velvet was the exact right way to go. So how is everyone doing? What do you guys want to talk about? Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Pirates of Penzance, thank you so much. Appreciate that. What does everyone wish to talk about this evening? I'm down to talk about anything that all of you are going to talk about. Just be aware that I'm going to slowly descend into incoherence. Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer. That's all I really remember. I did Shakespeare for a while in high school. I was in, what did I do? I did Comedy of Errors. I did Robert III, not King Robert III, but Robert III. Excuse me. What else did I do? I did something else. Julius Caesar. In my opinion, why hasn't there been a Star Trek Power Rangers comic crossover? Many, many, many reasons. Most probably that the two, whoever owns those property lines in the comics, stars haven't aligned. There is a Star Trek Planet of the Apes crossover, which I just got that comic in the mail. I haven't read it yet, but I'm very, very curious to see how that one goes, how that works out, how they make those two universes hit together. So, no, don't worry about Lurk and Mackenzie. It's always good to just have you here. If we shadows have offended, think but this... Oh, okay. Puck in the theater. Puck is a fun character. I would have enjoyed that. There is a Star Trek X-Men crossover comic. Oh, sorry. A crossover comic. And there's actually a Star Trek X-Men novel. And I will highly... I think I recommended the novel in one of my videos. The Star Trek X-Men novel is hilarious and fantastic. In fact, I haven't read it in a long time. I probably might go and reread it. Ooh, a Star Trek Sailor Moon fanfic would be a lot of fun. Does that mean, like, Kirk would, like, power up into, like, one of the Sailor Moon, like, people? That'd be so much fun. You did Shakespeare? I got my degree in costuming for theater, and that was my area of expertise. Yeah, Shakespeare was a lot of fun. We actually did, for Comedy of Errors, and this is a bit white appropriation-y because we were a bunch of, like, white people doing this, but we did, for Comedy of Errors, we did that whole play set in Japan. So we had like a bunch of sort of like, we had like this cool like tree that was growing out of the stage. It was really very beautiful. But yeah, it's a bit like looking back on it now, it's like, oh yeah, a bunch of white people doing Japanese stuff. Like we didn't do like Yellowface or anything like that, but it was just still like, it was very nice. I thought it was very sweet and very fun, but a bit weird having a bunch of white people do Japanese stuff. So whatever. Everything's problematic. It is 7:20 p.m. here, so. Oh, you just watched my racial coding video today. Yeah, it is kind of funny because it's along the same lines, though ours is a bit more on the nose than the Klingons, who are a bit, I don't want to say subtle, because especially in the original series, the Klingons being coded as Japanese was not subtle at all, but a little bit subtler. With the Dune movie coming out, will you be diving into the Dune saga at all? Probably when the movie comes out closer, when we actually figure out when it actually does come out. I really like, I've read the first Dune book, and that's really all I've touched upon. I have heard that the rest of it gets interesting, but it kind of like fizzles out towards the end because it gets kind of weird and crazy because the author died, and he kept going. His son kept writing more. That being said, I really, really liked the novel. The problem I had with it was his writing style is strange, where he like switches perspectives within the scene multiple times. He doesn't have like one narrator. Excuse me. The milkshake's like clear, like getting my throat all caked in like milkshakiness. But I really liked Dune. It was basically like Game of Thrones in space. Is essentially the idea of it. So, and the fact that it's Denis Villeneuve, who is one of my favorite directors of all time. Denis Villeneuve, amazing director. If you have not seen his work, he did Blade Runner 2049, which I absolutely adore. He did Arrival, which is excellent. Sicario. One more where he did Identity, I think it's called. He also did the one about the serial killer. I'm blanking on it. He did one more movie, but I forget his name. Oh, that's really cool. I did not know that Kevin J. Anderson is the Star Wars author. I think he wrote it with somebody, so it might be the same person, I hope. But anyways, Denis Villeneuve, I'm so pumped for. I think he's going to do a great job with that movie. That director has not disappointed me once. What's on my nose? Is that a cut? No, that's just ice cream. So. Sadly, I do not have enough ice cream for a second shake. I don't want to have two of these too. That would be too much. But. Bree, welcome. How are you? I hope you're doing, sorry, this is full of like way too much rum. I eyeballed it. And for those just joining, oh, rum is wonderful. My favorite rum is Kraken rum, which I don't have here, but Kraken rum is absolutely fantastic. I saw a few other questions that I saw. I want to make sure I respond to. What do you think about the remake of The Stand being delayed due to COVID? That is fantastic. I mean, not fantastic. It stinks, but the irony of that is kind of hilarious. I will say The Stand is probably Stephen King's best novel. It was actually the first one I ever read, weirdly enough, because I decided, I had never read any Stephen King. I knew Stephen King because of the movies and things like that. But I'd never read much Stephen King. And then I think 2 years ago, I decided, you know what? I'm going to go through the whole Dark Tower series. And when I say I go through the whole Dark Tower series, I'm going to read all the books that had major connections to the Dark Tower series. And so the reading order that I was recommended starting with The Stand as the first book. So I read The Stand as Stephen King's first novel I ever read. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was absolutely fantastic. And very prescient today, especially speaking with how his first few chapters, I know he did a reading of it, his first few chapters of how viruses spread really quickly. Definitely reads a bit too prescient today. I see, yeah, his collection of short stories is great. I read a couple of them because of, they do connect into the Dark Tower series, I think Low Men in Yellow Coats from Hearts in Atlantis. That connects into the main story. So I read Hearts in Atlantis, which is a kind of pseudo short story collection. They're kind of connected a little bit, but they are basically sort of their own sort of thing. Please, Trekkie, please do post it. It might get caught. I don't know if you're allowed to post links on here, but you're welcome to post it and try, and if I can pass it through, I'm more than happy to have you share it. Someone said to Stephen King on Twitter, "Oh yeah, have you read The Stand?" That's hilarious. The morgue one, I forget the name, where the guy was awake in his mind during the autopsy. Oh, I can't. I get terrified of that, especially I just had the breast augmentation surgery. And that was my biggest worry, is I'm going to become conscious during the surgery. I am so terrified of that. It's horrifying to think of that. That's bleh. Bleh. Pet Sematary, yeah. I like the book Pet Sematary. I thought it was good. I haven't seen the original Pet Sematary movie, but I watched the second one, the one that just came out a year or two ago. And I gotta be honest, I did not like it. Maybe it was because I kind of knew it was coming, but that movie kind of is basically a very dread movie. It deals with your feeling of dread that something terrible is going to happen. But even for someone who hadn't read the Pet Sematary story, I feel like the idea of that story is kind of well known. So while there are a few changes and twists they try to add to the story, I feel like, yeah, we know where this is going, get to that bit. And so the movie just takes forever to get somewhere, and so I thought the more recent Pet Sematary was just kind of boring. And kind of dragged and dull, just because I kind of knew where it was going, and just felt like it tried to be surprising and make a few changes to the story. And I just thought it was kind of rough. What other sci-fi YouTube channels do you watch? That's a good question. Autopsy Room 4. I will see if I can muster up the courage to to read that book. Sci-fi YouTubers, though. Well, first off, Bree, who is in the chat, hanging out with everybody here. She is over on Trek Central. So Trek Central is a absolutely fantastic Star Trek channel. If you haven't followed Trek Central, and Bree is phenomenal as well. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful human. Who else? Roman J. Coleman, who does these really great short essays, sort of dredging back up old sci-fi favorites of mine. He talks about Stargate a lot. I really enjoy him. I think he has a Babylon 5 review coming out, which is funny because I just did a Babylon 5 review that I'm posting a week or two. So of course, Bree. Of course, I would say that you are absolutely fantastic. What other YouTubers? I'm always bad at coming up with recommendations on the spot. Of course, Steve Shives as well. Council of Geeks, obviously. Council of Geeks appeared in my video last week. let's see, who do I usually watch? Because I watch a whole bunch, but for some reason, whenever I like have to think of recommendations of really cool people. Katwalski, obviously, I watch all of Katwalski. Dan Murrell, who used to be of Fandom. I just started watching Dan Murrell because he kind of split off and did his own thing. And Dan Murrell is also I think he has one of the most like astute, analyses of the film industry, and he sort of like looks at trends in, like the film industry and box office and things like that. So he's great. Quinn's Ideas, I do listen to him as well. He does some really, really, really great, good Dune dives. I really like his stuff. Patrick Willems, I know everyone kind of, if you know me, you probably know Patrick Willems. Not that we're in the same league or anything like that, but Patrick Willems is great. He's not necessarily just sci-fi, but he does some great stuff. I do watch Certifiably In-Game, not a ton of them, but I do watch some of Certifiably In-Game, and I do really like their stuff. A lot of my YouTube stuff is all political. Like, no, this is not just Star Trek people. There's a bunch of people. Oh, Christy, obviously. I'm sorry. Christy also does she's planning on doing some Star Trek stuff, so you should check Christy out. She's also down in the chat. Oh, actually, I can't believe I forgot about him. One person who I will rant and rave about, who I think is fantastic, and he mostly does video game stuff. So if you do, if you're a big gamer, this person is hands down, I have to say, the best video game YouTuber out there. And that is, I just had it, Jacob Geller. Jacob Geller, he does these really, 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 really wonderful video essays on video games. That he just like does really, they're very emotional, they're very thoughtful, they're very deep dives into the like very like nuanced things. Seriously, Jacob Geller, if you need a new YouTube obsession, besides me, I mean, obsessed over me, that's why we're all here. No, of course not. But Jacob Geller, I think, does absolutely fantastic video essays on gaming. So I would very much recommend that. Mystic should probably be going to sleep, but I just finished watching a stream, so I figured why not jump in here. Well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, you should all definitely check out Jacob Geller. Love his stuff. His video on Outer Wilds was really good. I mean, all of his stuff is fantastic. He did one on, what was it? Why am I blanking on it? Shadow of the Colossus, which is great. Sorry, I like pimping. I'm always uncomfortable, like shilling my own stuff, but I'll shill other people's stuff all the time. I will shill like crazy for other people. Anita Sarkeesian, of course. Anita Sarkeesian is like the queen. She's absolutely fantastic. She kind of like started off video game discussions, and got a lot of crap for it, unfortunately. Ugh. But Anita Sarkeesian is absolutely wonderful. I listen to her, Feminist Frequency. She does a podcast. Steve Shives has actually guest starred on a couple of them, and they're absolutely wonderful. Oh, we were talking about, someone asked me about Event Horizon earlier. I think it was Pedro. I really, really like, I've never seen Event Horizon, though I do think I should watch it considering it's a sci-fi horror, and I love sci-fi horror, so I have not seen it yet. I just never got around to it. Thoughts? Oh, and thank you, Sarah, very much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Thoughts on Picard and Mass Effect comparison? So on that front, I think there definitely is. Yeah, I'll definitely give a shout. I'll talk about that in a second, but I want to quick give a shout out. Krishna Kumar. Hopefully, I'm saying your name right. But shout out to really quickly on Picard and Mass Effect. So I definitely think there's a lot of parallels to Mass Effect and Picard in that show. And a lot of people gave Picard crap for that, saying like, oh, you're just copying it. They're stealing ideas from Mass Effect and all that stuff. Which I always hate that stuff because it's not like they're directly stealing stuff. Like, oh, it's just this idea. And all science fiction takes from each other. Mass Effect, whether the writers, and I believe the lead writer, Michael Chabon, said he actually didn't know what Mass Effect was. when the episode of Picard came out that was sort of paralleling Mass Effect. I'll try and stay spoiler free as best I can. But like, even if he was influenced by it, Mass Effect is one of the best space opera stories of the past decade, easily. I would rank it up right there with probably the best science fiction of all time, regardless of how you feel on the ending. I personally kind of like the Mass Effect 3 ending. I know everyone will jump on me, but all art influences each other. No ideas are created in a vacuum. If you want that, go back to like look at like ancient Greek plays. Like that's where like a lot of ideas, and even then Greeks were influenced by people. Like every piece of art is influenced by other pieces of art. So people gave it a lot of crap for that. But in terms of what it was actually saying, I think I like I said in my review of Picard, I really liked Picard and I liked a lot of the ideas, but unfortunately I think a lot of the stuff that they kind of put out there in that show didn't really get picked up on enough as it should have. And I definitely think that sort of stuff, which, small spoiler for Picard here, so if you haven't watched Picard, just nah for a hot second. But like, there's an alien like race that like lives between the stars and will come and destroy all of humanity, or all of everything, all of the species in the universe. I hope they pick up on that and like do something with that further down the line, because that's a huge thing that they just sort of like mention and sort of let go at the end of the season. So I really hope that they do that. And I know some random geek was recommending other political YouTubers that I watch. I mean, I watch a lot of the standard ones, so you get you could argue whether these are political, but like Legal Eagle, ContraPoints, Gaitan, if I'm saying their name right, some more news. Why am I blanking on Philosophy Tube? Obviously, what other Thought Slime? Thought Slime is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, those are some of the major ones. I'm trying to think of anyone else that I'm looking through my list here to see if there's anyone that like instantly pops out at me as like, oh, super political. Oh, also Polygon. If anyone hasn't heard of Brian David Gilbert, if you're looking for the best content on YouTube, go check out the series on Polygon's YouTube called Unraveled, starring Brian David Gilbert, H-Bomber Guy. Yes, I love H-Bomber Guy. Starring Brian David Gilbert. Best series on YouTube. Jacob Geller, I think, is like here. Brian David Gilbert is here. He is the most hilarious, easily the most hilarious YouTuber out there. And he works for Polygon full-time, which I really want to. If anyone has any connections at Polygon, let me know, because that's my dream job. Yeah, working at Polygon is quite literally my dream job. So I would love to work there one day. But Brian David Gilbert over on Polygon, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, ContraPoints is fantastic. ContraPoints and Philosophy Tube are kind of my major inspirations. ContraPoints, Philosophy Tube, and Renegade Cut. Those are the three YouTubers who I get a lot of my like inspiration from in terms of the type of stuff that I want to make, but in like a geek way. So I try to like be like my aim, and this, I'm by no means in their league yet. No means. I still have a lot to learn in terms of this, how to present myself and write essays and build up my style and things like that. But my inspirations, my goal would be to be like the geek version of Philosophy Tube. But there's a long way to do that. So I don't want to choke on my aspirations, as a certain Sith Lord would say in the best dad joke of all time. So I'm just looking to see if there's any other videos, people that I would recommend right off the top of my head. Oh, thank you very much, Kaylee. Hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. If I'm not, let me know. But thank you so much for the super chat. You said Wrath of Khan is not in your top 5 of Trek films. I said that over on Twitter. What are your top 5 for me? 2, 3, 4, and 6 are the best single cohesive story over the others. I definitely agree. I definitely think once you reach Polygon, please don't forget about us. I will never forget about all of you, Robert. Let's see. But yes, answering Kaylee's question. So yes, Wrath of Khan is actually not my top 5 for those of you who don't know. It's actually number 6 if I had to list them out. And I do want to do a video where I officially rank them, but for all of you here, I will give you my preview of that video. So I'm just trying to think of what my list was off the top of my head. I think I'll start. Normally I would work up to number 1, but I think I have to work from the top down just for my own brain to remember off the top of my head. But my favorite Star Trek movie of all time is easily Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. I think that one's absolutely fantastic. I think it has the most salient political metaphor. I think it has the best characterization. It shows like flaws in Captain Kirk. There's a lot of like fun adventure stuff. The villains are great. So easily Star Trek VI is number 1. Number 2 is probably Star Trek First Contact. I'm sorry, yes, Fluid Voice. No, please promote yourself, Christy. Promote yourself. Christy does the Fluid Voice podcast, and I've been on it as well, and she and the rest of her co-hosts are phenomenal. Number 2, Star Trek First Contact. I think it's kind of clear why everyone loves that one. That one's a ton of fun. It's a good adventure story. It's a great character dissection of Picard and really kind of like showing progression of his character through like that we didn't necessarily get on Star Trek The Next Generation, the show, where we didn't really see like weekly effects of things. Number 3, and I know this crowd will definitely appreciate this, but I think there are some people that out there that would not. But I really, really love Star Trek Beyond. I think the most recent Kelvin movie, Star Trek Beyond, is extremely underrated, is a lot of fun. Oh, I love Star Trek The Motion Picture. That's actually my number 7. But Star Trek Beyond, I think, is such a fun movie. It feels like a bigger exploration of the... it's just like a blown-out Star Trek episode, but made for modern day. I really think that they made that version of Kirk feel like his own unique character. Like, he's definitely Kirk. But in that movie, they really like made him feel like Kirk and yet uniquely his own, this Kelvin timeline version of him. Showed of him dealing with his father and his problems there, and things like that. Mackenzie, I just saw your thank you so much for your super chat. I will check it out in just a second. I just want to finish this thought. So yeah, there's some problems I have with Star Trek Beyond. Namely, I think it doesn't finish a couple of its story arcs as well as it could. Like, I definitely think Jayla, who I want another Kelvin movie just for Jayla. Like, I want more Jayla because she was fantastic. But they don't complete her arc as easily because, like, she has this whole thing with, like, the second in command of the second evil dude killed her father, and she fights him, but she never really beats him, and we never really come back to that character. Like, Kirk just beams her up and saves her, and she escapes. So that's my only major problem with that. I just think they don't finish off her character arc as easily as well in that movie, but the rest of that movie is just a ton of fun, and plus they have Star Trek Enterprise references in that movie, so I gotta love that. The 4th Star Trek movie that I really, really love has to be Star Trek IV, Voyage Home. Just tons of fun. I think it's just a really fun adventure film. It's really just funny and a good character exploration for everybody. And then number 5 is Star Trek 2009. I'm doing a video on Star Trek 2009. So I'm rewatching Star Trek. I just rewatched Star Trek 2009 recently, and that movie's it was such a great update of Star Trek. It rejiggered things in a fun way that like changed the characters, but still all felt core to who they were as characters. Showed us a younger version of them. Leonard Nimoy is absolutely wonderful in that film. As much as Nero is kind of a blah villain, I think the actor, why am I blanking on the actor's name who played Nero? Played Hulk, Bruce Banner. I'm blanking. Eric Bana. He brought like such a character to Nero, even though Nero himself isn't really. There's not really much to him on the page. I think Eric Bana gave that character a lot of like. He elevated that character beyond what it was. Carl Urban's great. Star Trek 2009 is great. And then number 6, you get Wrath of Khan. So those are my 5 Star Trek movies. Mackenzie, W.C. Mel, thank you. Jesus Christ, I forgot how much I love that movie. Why didn't they let Marina Sirtis be funny more often? Marina Sirtis is hilarious. I just listened to Jonathan Del Arco has his own podcast. And actually, I think yesterday they did an interview with Marina Sirtis, and she is hilarious. And she's actually very funny and super talkative and super political. Like, she loves to rant for a really long time. So Marina Sirtis is absolutely wonderful. I would have loved to see more comedy with her, especially in Star Trek. Sadly, she got relegated into the whole, like, I'm going to be the victim in every case, or the I feel something weird energy stuff. So yeah, she is absolutely wonderful. All right, that was a lot of ranting I just did there. Thank you for indulging my long rants that I just went on there. Is a Voyager movie possible? I don't mean in a franchise recognition way, but since the whole point of Voyager is getting back home, are there any stories left to be told? I mean, you can see it in Picard. You get like 7 of 9 back and things like that. I think you could see Voyager characters pop up again. Like I would love to see Janeway at some point, maybe on Picard or something else. I don't think you could really do a Voyager show like with Voyager, just because the actors have all aged. It wouldn't really make sense timeline wise. So I think you definitely have those characters do stuff. Excuse me, but I don't think you'd necessarily have a Voyager movie kind of set during that time. Marina's in Young Justice? Who is she in Young Justice? I didn't know Marina Sirtis was in Young Justice. Yeah, I want to know that too. What happened between Seven and Chakotay? That would be an interesting twist. Do you think Robert Picardo will be in Picard? I think so. They said he was in talks to be in season 2 of Picard, so it would make sense. I mean, the idea of... they talked about in season 1 of Picard about synths fighting for their rights and wanting to be seen as equal people. So I think if you evolve on that idea and have Robert Picardo kind of talk about that from a holographic angle, like holograms asking for their rights, I think it would be a perfect storyline to have Robert Picardo appear in. So yeah, I think Robert Picardo's... I think they said he's going to appear in it. I don't know if they've officially announced it, but they definitely said he was in talks too. So I would... On timeline, yes, that would be perfect. Tom Hardy playing Kelvin Timeline Picard would be phenomenal. I doubt we'll get that. Maybe we will, like years and years from now, but not anytime soon. But Tom Hardy would be a great young Patrick Stewart. I mean, his Shinzon... Shinzon was such a flawed character from the start in terms of their ideas for him and their writing for him. But Tom Hardy's just grown so much as an actor, and he's one of my favorite actors of all time. So I definitely think that he would definitely do a good job being a younger Picard. No, Geordi did not die during the attack on Mars. They actually said in the prequel book that they did a Star Trek prequel book. Geordi survives the attack on Mars in that. And then also they make reference to Geordi LaForge in the show, Star Trek Picard. There's a moment, I think in like episode 2 or 3, where Picard is sort of listing all the people that he can go to. He can go to Worf, go to Geordi, things like that. Zhaban mentions it. And Picard says, no, I can't go to all of them. So yeah, I definitely think Geordi definitely survived the Mars attack. In fact, there's talks of him being able to be in season 2, so we'll see if that happens. But yeah, no, Geordi's still alive and kicking at the moment. So James McAvoy should play Picard in the Kelvin timeline. Fight me. That would be funny, considering that he played a young Patrick Stewart in the X-Men movies. So that would actually there'd be an interesting and fun little parallel there. I think that'd be great. Mackenzie, I took an edible and drinking whiskey. Good night. That's a good way to go with the night. An edible and some whiskey. I fully approve of this choice. You most certainly can recommend a Brazilian drink. Speaking of me being drunk, is there any more of this? Please do recommend it. Pronounce Kelly. Kelly. Okay, thank you. And thank you again for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Kelly. A new Voyager movie show now would be a trip 20 years later where Harry is still an ensign. That's what we need. We need to have Harry Kim, Garrett Wang appear in Star Trek Picard just to show that he is definitely moved on from being an ensign. Poor guy. Oh, we watched the Star Trek Enterprise, the Andorian Incident, which is the first episode that Jeffrey Combs appears in Star Trek Enterprise, and he does such a good job as Shran. I adore his Shran. I know that they would, they considered making him a full-time cast member in the 5th season of Enterprise that never happened. So if the 5th season of Enterprise had happened, Shran would have been a full cast member, and that would have been a bunch of fun. But sadly, that did not come to pass, unfortunately. Jesse Snow, only half of Star Trek 2009 Countdown is canon since we never had Captain Data. Yeah, I did like the Star Trek Countdown comic, even though there was some things that didn't make tons of sense. But definitely, that was a good comic, but yeah, definitely it's not canon anymore, unfortunately. which is surprising considering Kurtzman helped write it, and then Kurtzman helped make Star Trek Picard, so you'd think he would have kept a little bit of that. But, you know what? He's the one in charge. He's allowed to blow up his own stuff if he wants to. If he's like, I don't want to do that. So, he's definitely allowed to do that. Sir just liked one of my tweets and I'm over the moon, like my body has left my soul. Oh, that's so sweet. Brent Spiner liked one of my tweets once and I was like, Brent Spiner liked one of my tweets. It's wonderful. Excuse me, my nose is like getting stuffed up, probably because of all the milk that I had. So, apologies, my nose is like getting kind of weird. So, I wish they did they ever do an episode? Maybe I forgot it, but I don't think they ever did. It would have been fun if they had ever done a Deep Space Nine episode where they had a bunch of Jeffrey Combs characters come on at once. But, oh, Neil Gaiman. I adore Neil Gaiman. I just saw the did anyone see they announced the cast for the Sandman audio drama, and I am so pumped for that. Speaking of James McAvoy is playing Dream in that. Yeah, the cast for the Sandman audio drama. I am so excited for that. I'm a huge audio drama fan, and I love listening to audio dramas, and so I'm so pumped for the Sandman audio drama. Oh, thank you very much, Dash. I appreciate that. I really do. Star Trek 12-4, the win. Oh, gotcha. Star Trek 12-4, the win is because Ben Harrison instead of Khan. I agree. That was sort of the big problem with Star Trek 2. I need to go back and rewatch Star Trek Into Darkness. It's been a minute since I watched it. I actually remember enjoying it in the theaters. I actually have two problems with Star Trek Into Darkness. Just remembering what I felt like off the top of my head. The first problem that I have with it is obviously the Harrison Khan thing. Then like, he's not Khan, but it totally is Khan, but it's not Khan. It was just annoying and dumb, and them trying to out-trick us and not really doing it too well. And it just ultimately means nothing in the movie itself. It's like, yeah, you're Khan. Cool. That really doesn't mean anything to those characters at that time. It's just sort of like the audience being like, oh, it's Khan. It really means nothing in the story. So that's one problem. The other problem that I have with that movie, just off the top of my head, is actually not the fact that they did the fan service stuff. In fact, I will say, I actually, when I was in the theater, I was so excited. In all honesty, I was actually so excited when they did the scene where they recreate Wrath of Khan, but with Kirk dying instead of Leonard Nimoy. I actually have to say, I know a lot of people have problems with that scene. I really, 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 really liked it because it was paying off that promise of what they had said after Star Trek 2009, is that we can take these stories from the original series and shake them up and do new and different things for them. And I thought doing that scene was such a bold move. And so I was watching that and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to kill Kirk. And Kirk is going to be gone. And I was so pumped. And then, 10 minutes later, they bring Kirk back to life. And don't get me wrong, I love Star Trek Beyond. And I'm glad we got that movie. And I really love Chris Pine's Kirk. I think he does a fantastic job. But what a bold move would it have been if, okay, now anything can happen in this universe. Crazy weird stuff can happen in this Star Trek Kelvin timeline. And so I just thought it was such a cheat to like just pay this that moment and then bring him back instantly. It was just like, come on. And it's something and this is again small spoilers for Star Trek Picard, but it's something they did in Star Trek Picard 2 at the end where they kill off, small Picard spoilers for the next like 30 seconds. They kill off Picard and then bring him back instantaneously like 2 scenes later. And it's like, you're cheapening what this means. You're cheapening death in these shows. And I'm not against like killing a character and bringing them back, but have it mean something. When you kill them and then bring them back not, 10 minutes later in the story, it means it's just like, oh yeah, okay, so death means nothing to you. I'm by no means against like killing a character and then maybe bringing him back next season or in the next movie like they did with Star Trek The Search for Spock. I think that's fine. But have it have weight in the episode and in the movie. And it just, in both Into Darkness's case and even at the end of Star Trek Picard, that they just didn't. They just did not have weight. And so that just frustrated me. It just felt like a cheap out. Anyways, I missed a lot of what was going on in the chat, so apologies. I'm sorry. Binge watching Gargoyles. I used to watch it as a kid. I actually didn't watch much Gargoyles. I do have to watch it. I watched a little bit of it, but I didn't watch a ton of it. So, sorry, I'm going back to the chat to see what I missed. Yeah, Spock's yell, Pedro, was very, very cringy in that scene. I thought, but like I said, I liked that scene just fine. But yeah, it is a bit cringy, that yell. Man, I prefer Star Trek V over Into Darkness any day of the week. Another movie that I think gets a bad rap. I actually don't hate Star Trek V. It's ridiculous and silly and weird and kind of dumb in some places, especially towards the end. But there's some good stuff in there too. As much as people make fun of it, I actually think the Kirk, Spock, McCoy camping scene is actually pretty sweet. It's actually a very sweet scene overall. And I think, like I said in one of my videos today, it's the only movie that gives McCoy like his own scene. You actually get a good McCoy scene in that movie. Otherwise, he's usually just bouncing off of Kirk and Spock. But he actually gets a scene that's his own scene. So I definitely think, like, yeah, I agree. I mean, I would love a director's cut of Star Trek V, where actually William Shatner gets to do the stuff that he wanted to do. What does God need with a starship? It's great. Aaron, you're a Scooby-Doo gal. I was a big Scooby-Doo gal as well. I'm actually very excited to see Scoob when it comes out. I know it's a kids movie, but you know what? I'm totally down to see. I always like a good kids movie. So I'm very excited to see Scoob when that comes out in just a little bit. I agree. It would be a lot better to let a death sink in, especially if you see how it affects other characters that worked well in Discovery. I thought, yeah, I agree. And to be honest, they did it in Discovery as well with the Saru episode where they kill off Saru. Though to be fair, that at least made sense. That one I will actually fight for because I actually really liked that episode quite a bit, and I was actually very much crying, and I liked the connection between Saru and Burnham. So I actually will fight for the Saru death scene because it actually made sense, and it didn't cheapen it because he wasn't actually going to die. It was like a twist, and they've done that in other Star Trek things. It's when you actually kill a character and then bring him back instantaneously. Where with Saru, he never actually died. So I'm actually okay with that one, even though it was still kind of playing off the same idea. I think it's a distinction with a difference, I think. So, to paraphrase Captain Pike. Thank you very much, Dash. I appreciate that. Cheap Kirk death fakeouts are the big TOS trope. That is true. There's so many Kirk death fakeouts. But like I was saying with Discovery, I think the difference is they actually kill the character. Like, he's straight up dead, like in Into Darkness and Picard. He's straight up dead, and then they bring him back. And I think, like, the fake-out deaths are a bit, they can get overused, but I think they're fine. It's just when you actually kill a character and then bring him back instantaneously is a bit frustrating. Jesse, 2 comments in one. Harry Potter dying was a cheat, and a Vulcan like a Jedi never wants revenge. I don't actually agree with Harry dying as a cheat. I will actually fight for that one as well, because that one actually fit thematically with the concept of the show. So much of Harry Potter was about this fear of death, of Harry kind of being afraid of the loss of death, and Voldemort himself, his whole deal was, I'm scared of dying, and he thinks he can live forever. And so Harry going to die, he chooses to die, and it's a character choice. So him going to meet his death, I think just fits thematically with a lot of the ideas that show is going in, that was going into it, about Harry coming to understand his parents. I mean, his mom and his dad sacrificed their life for him to save others, to save his life, that love that they had for him. And so for Harry to go into the woods and choose to die is him doing the same thing his parents did. To die for love, to save others, to care about others. And so for him to make that choice, I think his death motivated a character choice that I thought was interesting. And yeah, you could argue that him not having stayed dead was a bit of a cheat. I don't think so. I think it kind of works within the story. But I think his whole death thing, it works well. Whereas in, like, Picard, like, I don't think Picard needed to die in the finale. I think he would have been fine. Like, you could have just had him write that scene so he would have been fine. I don't think you needed to have that cheap emotional out in the story. And yeah, maybe it's like, oh, we wanted to get it. If they do something interesting with the synth body other than, like, oh, he doesn't have Bendai syndrome anymore or whatever the syndrome was. If they do something interesting with him being the synth body, I'll fight for it. But as it stands right now, it's sort of like, I don't hate the finale. I liked the Picard finale, but I just thought that part of it was just kind of like, that felt cheap because his death didn't motivate anything for me. Interesting character decisions or otherwise. So, sorry, I'm ranting about Harry Potter. Did the young Q ever return? She might have been fun to see in Picard. Oh, it would be fun. I mean, it would be such a nice way to end. If the last episode of Picard, wherever it is, season 3 or season 4 or however long it goes, if the last scene is like Picard dying, but then Q stopping by and saying, hey, let's come with me into the Q continuum. So you get this, like, Picard actually dies, but then you get this, like, positive ending of, like, Picard's dead, but maybe he lives in the Q continuum, and then you get your little Q cameo. Would have been fun. So... I think Sarah Michelle Gellar may have been the reason I was okay with being a girl for so long. That is fantastic. I mean, Sarah Michelle Gellar is the most badass. Freaking Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I binged Buffy and Angel years ago, and, like, for the first time, because I didn't watch it while I was on, but I binged it while I was in college. And gosh, Buffy and Angel is such a freaking fantastic show. It still holds up today. There's some stuff in those episodes and those shows that, like, yeah, it could have been better, especially, like, Angel and Buffy's relationship is kind of problematic, but generally those episodes hold up so well. Angel I'll fight a little less for. I actually, to be honest with you, there's a couple moments in Angel that I like overall, but I actually don't really like much of Angel until season 5. Season 5 of Angel, I think, is perfection. Season 5 of Angel is absolutely fantastic. The rest of Angel, seasons 1 through 4, there are moments here and there that I really... I never saw Xena. I caught episodes here and there because my stepdad was really into Hercules. So we'd occasionally watch Xena here and there too in reruns. But I never actually sat down and watched all of Xena front to back or Hercules front to back. So plus, like, Xena, I will totally probably, if I might get around to watching Xena one day. But I couldn't watch Hercules just because the main actor, the guy who plays Hercules, is kind of a jerk. Which always kind of throws me off when, like, the actor's blah, is, like, a not great person. It's also why I can't watch, like, Superman and Lois Lane, Lois, whatever that was, like, Clark Kent and Lois Lane or whatever it was, the one with Dean Cain, where Dean Cain played Superman, Clark and Lois, I think that's what it was, because Dean Cain is kind of a jerk, so, I will watch Xena. Everyone's pointing me to watching Xena. I will, you know what, I will do it. When I finally have a chance, I will definitely watch Xena. I'm currently about to do Farscape for the first time, so we're gonna Farscape and then probably Xena after that. But yeah, it's like Dean Cain, Lois. So my mean words, like, he's kind of a jerk. But yeah, so. Oh, hey, Council of Geeks, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Nice to see you showing up in the chat. You missed the milkshake, so I'm very upset that you missed the milkshake. I'm also really feeling the amount of rum that I put in that drink now. It's kind of hitting me at this point. Definitely feeling that rum. Yeah, when you become a social justice advocate, there's so many TV shows, movies, and bands you stop watching and listening to because there's so many terrible people in entertainment. Yeah, that is unfortunately true. For some reason, there are some that I can get by. Typically, if it's, like, something that I had already seen, like, if it's a work of art that I've already seen and fell in love with, I can get through it and be like, you know, I'm fine with that. But if it's, like, a show I haven't seen and, like, that's the main actor's, like, thing that they're known for, it's really hard for me to dive into. I can also get past, like, maybe if it's a work by someone who's like, yeah, this is an actor is in it, but they're not, like, this isn't the thing they're known for. But when it comes to, like, Lois and Clark and Hercules, those actors, Dean Cain, and then I forget the actor's name for Hercules. Like, those are the things they're known for. So it's like, it's hard for me to jump into it. It's like why I could almost probably watch Andromeda. Most because it's a Gene Roddenberry thing and I'd be curious about it. I haven't seen Andromeda, but I could probably watch Andromeda even though the same actor from Hercules is in it and he's the lead, but he's not like known for that. And it's just, I don't know why that's my weird distinction. It's just how my brain works. I don't know why. It's just my weird distinction. If it's like the main thing this actor's known for and they're a terrible person, I probably can't watch it. It's just how that works. Kevin Sorbo, thank you very much, Council. I appreciate that. Yeah, Kevin Sorbo, yeah, not a great person. I did watch, what was it, God's Not Dead with Kevin Sorbo. That wonderful film. Just because, like, I had a religious friend at the time when I was watching, when I went to see that movie, and I was like, you know what, I'll go see it, because you know what? Maybe this is an even-handed movie. I'd be down with, like, seeing a movie where they argue religion versus atheism. That sounds like a fascinating idea. I think that's a really deep and interesting film to do. And I watched it, and it's just like, yeah, God's great, and there's no other viewpoints, and the atheist is an asshole. Like, it was just very disappointing. I was like, you know what, I was willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, and you totally ruined that for me. And, like, and this is someone who I, like, have complete respect for religion, but, like, religious movies are so... flypaper, I don't know, I'm too drunk to remember the saying, but it's like, if you had gone into that movie and been like, oh, here's a decent discussion, I don't think you're all assets. Don't worry, homebody. I have nothing against people who are religious. But that movie's just like, clearly Kevin Sorbo plays the atheist and he's a total jerk. It's just, I would agree, Council. I would totally love to see a non-strawman version of that film. I think that would totally, like, if you actually did a legitimate, like, discussion between atheism and religion and have, like, an actual, like, honest conversation about that and honest conversation about different viewpoints, I think you could find that you could meet in the middle and have a discussion, be like, look, I may not believe the same things you do, but we hold similar values. We just come about it in a different way. And maybe all atheists aren't terrible. This got into a weird sidetrack. I'm sorry. Why did I start ranting about God's Not Dead? My live streams are weird. I'm sorry. Just totally stopped myself right there. Yeah, it's hard to find a lot of sci-fi shows that aren't super condescending towards faith. Like, what is it? Gene Roddenberry famously said, paraphrasing him here, but he essentially said anyone who is a religious person is an idiot. Which is frustrating, because it's like, Star Trek could say so much about religion. I think the only place that they did a good discussion on religion is in Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine was a really wonderful, like, discussion on, like, the benefits and negatives of religion. But I would really like to see a Star Trek discussion on human religions, because Gene Roddenberry just kind of assumes that all humans in the 23rd, 24th century are basically, and even in the 22nd century in Enterprise, that everyone's very secular. They're all atheists or don't really talk about religion all that much. And I would very much like a discussion of like, actual human religions. Star Trek Discovery Season 2, I think, was trying to do that, but then kind of got sidetracked by the whole Red Angel plotline, timey-wimey stuff. Like, the first half of Star Trek Discovery Season 2, you can definitely see that they're aiming for that sort of discussion on faith, especially with the episode, the second episode of the season, New Eden. But it kind of got lost in the weeds of its own story, and I think that's partially because of the showrunner change. When the showrunners got kicked out of Star Trek Discovery halfway through Season 2, I think they kind of changed gears to be a much more sci-fi tale about Red Angel stuff. Whereas the stuff that I found more interesting was definitely this sort of discussion about religion and, like, the hints that Captain Pike actually has a religious streak in him. That actually was super fascinating. I was really excited to see more of that. And I was kind of disappointed they let that go, that Anson Mount's Pike kind of lost that plot thread of, like, he actually leans more towards having a religious streak in him. So, alas. Things get missed. This happens in every Star Trek show. They can't all be perfect, which is totally fine. I still like Star Trek Discovery Season 2, but I definitely think its last half of the season kind of got a little bit too caught up in its own plot threads. But what are you going to do? Babylon 5. Yes. You haven't seen Okay. You're getting upset at me, Council of Geeks, for not having seen Farscape, and you have not seen Babylon 5? Oh my gosh. I just rewatched the pilot episode for one of my Patreons commissioned me to do a review of the Babylon 5 pilot episode. And, Babylon 5 is so good. I rewatched that pilot, and all pilots are usually rough, and I rewatched that pilot, I'm like, there are so many seeds of the story set up in this show. What's fantastic about Babylon 5 is it's all written by one guy. J. Michael Straczynski, I think, wrote every episode except for 5 of them. There are like 5 or 6 episodes in Babylon 5 that he did not write, and the rest of that show, he did all of it, and it's so good. And you watch the pilot, and I'm just like, how did he... Because it was the first time I'd rewatched the pilot since I started, like, I finished the series way back when, and I'm just well thought out. Babylon 5 is just, if you want a way to, like, tell a 5-season story arc in just perfection, that's how you do it. The only negative about Babylon 5 is the last season's kind of bad, and that's not, I don't blame Michael Straczynski for that. It was because he thought he had a 5-season arc planned from the beginning, and then he thought he was going to get canceled at the end of season 4. So you could see in the end of season 4, he had, like, pushed all of the storylines into the end of season 4. It's like, all right, everything that I've been building for, it's all going to be here in season 4. And the last, like, 10 episodes of season 4 are fantastic. They're so good. There's so much going on in those episodes. It's just condensed all of this stuff. And then they're like, oh, yeah, you know what? We will renew you for season 5. And then he's probably like, what? What was this? So, yeah, so season 5, it's unfortunate because all this story stuff that he had to jam into season 4, he had to like, kind of like, then whatever, like, lingering plot threads he still had left in season 5, he had to kind of, like, string out for a whole season when he didn't really have enough story for it. So, yeah, season 5 is a bit rough. But again, I don't really blame him for it. I blame the studio for being terrible. And yeah, the CGI is okay. I will also go to bat for the CGI in Babylon 5. Rewatching the pilot recently, the CGI is bad. It's very kind of lifeless. It's very very bad CGI. But what I will say for it is, while the CGI is awful, the designs are creative. Like, I think they really, like, go for some, like, out of the box. Like, every race's designs of ship designs of Babylon 5 is very unique. Like, they feel very unique. Like, I don't think I see those types of ships on any other type of TV show, any sci-fi TV show anywhere else. So yeah, the CGI is bad, but the actual designs are very creative. So I will kind of fight a little bit for the special effects on Babylon 5, even though they most certainly have not stood the test of time. But the designs were definitely very unique. Has a big chapter about Star Trek Jesus movie and the Star Trek JFK movie, both writings of Gene Roddenberry. Gene Roddenberry really wanted his JFK movie. He really wanted Spock to shoot JFK. Heaven help the man. He got, when he had an idea, he was dead set on it, which is kind of hilarious. Yeah, Gene Roddenberry just wanted that JFK movie so bad. Unfortunately. Yeah, that is sad that we won't get a remastered Babylon 5. I might wrap up in just a few minutes. Not just yet, but in a few minutes I'll probably gonna wrap up just because my voice is kind of getting a bit rough, and I can definitely kind of feel the alcohol hitting me a little bit. Though I might, if you guys do want to hang out with me more this evening, I'm gonna probably go and get like I haven't had dinner. I had like a little bit of a lunch. It's probably not a good idea to drink so much without having dinner. But I'm probably gonna go have dinner for an hour, and then I might play some Final Fantasy. So if any of you want to join me over on Twitch, I'll probably be twitching for a little bit later tonight. Renee, yes, but I'll hang out for another 5-10 minutes, and then I'll wrap out, and then I'll blame it on the alcohol. Blame it on the alcohol. Oh God. I can't sing. Why are you making me drunk sing? It's fine. I have seen the Orville. I like the Orville quite a bit. I've ranted about it in other live streams. So I won't reiterate myself here. But I like the Orville quite a bit. I think it's solid. Definitely doesn't take as many risks as Star Trek Discovery. Probably has a more consistent quality than Star Trek Discovery. But I think Star Trek Discovery is a much stronger show because it swings for the hills a little bit more. But I like both. I think they're both great. Yeah, I know. It's 8 o'clock here. To be honest with you, I actually meant to schedule this stream earlier so I could have dinner at a normal time. But then I got my time zones confused when I was scheduling this stream. So I scheduled this for a little bit later than I anticipated. So I decided I'll just hold off, drink, and then I'll catch dinner afterwards. So that was my own bad. So. All right. I think with that, No worry, don't worry, Mystic. It's a-okay. I'll be on Twitch multiple times. If you don't catch me tonight, it's fine. Though I think I'm at the part where I get to have Cloud from Final Fantasy VII get to wear a dress. I think I'm at that part, so I'm actually very excited to play that. So if you do want to catch that, play with me in maybe about an hour or two. Okay. So, love you all. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching me make an alcoholic milkshake. It was a lot of fun. It was very delicious. And you were all lovely, lovely, lovely company. As usual, just to wrap out tonight, you are wonderful. I think you're all beautiful and amazing human beings. Thank you for joining me and sending you love. And Mackenzie, thank you very much. I appreciate that super chat. You are way too kind. I thank you so much. All right. Love you. Talk to you later. And I might catch some of you later on the Twitch stream if I jump on. I'll tweet about it. If I do that, I'll tweet about it. So check out my Twitter if you're looking to see when I'm gonna go on Twitch. All right, love y'all. Have a good night.